Well, as both of you are aware of, Lebanon's economic situation hasn't been the best for a while. And because of that, many people, including ourselves, different societies and municipalities, are simply unable to deal with our enormous mismanagement of waste. We all see piles of food and leftovers piling up in our streets, in our rivers, in our mountains. So, Dr. Yehya and I myself thought of the following. What if we could devise some sort of apparatus which could be implementable in every household and universally simple enough so that everyone could be able to apply it?
And how will you manufacture it?
Well, Dr. Alissar and myself have thought of it, and ideally speaking at least, we would like to manufacture it using common materials found in Lebanon, or perhaps materials that are recyclable in order to enter this kind of circular economy where things that could be discarded would otherwise be employed into something that's meaningful and that can actually achieve purpose if you want. We have nicknamed it HoBi as a shortener for HoBi digester.
Oh, that's cute.
Thank you. And because of that restrictive usage of material to ideally be very economically viable. However, an important issue arises is that, unfortunately, due to Lebanon's erratic climate, or as we put it very commonly, that you can go skiing and swimming in the same day,
that's right.
the digester will be prone to severe temperature changes if it is implemented outdoors, and this will significantly affect the reaction taking place, given its nature as an endothermic reaction. However, to circumvent that, we will eventually be adding a paraffin enclosure around it to make sure that the rate of gas production is at its best.
How does it work?
Alright, so it's very simple. All you have to do is technically insert all your organic waste, which can range for fruits, vegetables, and nutshells into HoBi.
So any sorts of food, technically?
We haven't tested all sorts of food, but so far the results are promising regarding the aforementioned sources. All you have to do is insert whatever remainders you have into this very hole and mix it with a moderate amount of water. We recommend a ratio of approximately 0.5 liters of water for each kilogram of waste, and then you have to close the enclosure again to ensure that your food is now trapped into an oxygen-free environment. This will instigate the start. If you want, of the aforementioned reaction, which is known as fermentation, in which the food will slowly and very gradually break down into more and more simple organic and inorganic compounds, one of which being methane or biogas. In order to substantiate our cycle, and since we do not currently have access to the paraffin enclosure, we have chosen to implement an artificial heating system, as you can see here.
Oh, you mean this?
Exactly. As you can see, water is driven from this basin throughout the entire cycle and passes through the containment of this digester through a copper heating coil. Absolutely. If you want, you can keep it inside. So this copper heating coil has been chosen because of its excellent thermal capabilities, which should allow our current setup to reach temperatures around 35 degrees, which is the optimal temperature for decomposition according to previous research. This will allow us to generate a significant amount of methane gas in the time frame of a few days.
So, how will you proceed?
Well, as you can see, the initial prototype is nearly complete as it hasn't been proven to work efficiently. The heating system is ready, the digester itself seems to be operating optimal capacity, and as you can see here, the two outlets seems to be available, but they are more tentative than their counterparts. For instance, here, rather than using an air layer, we are planning instead of using specialized bags which are designed to capture gases at a slightly higher temperature and pressure than
usual. So that's the gas outlet?
Pretty much, yeah. But it will be fixed for later prototypes. And this system here is specifically designed in order to trap the remaining slurry, which could be potentially used as fertilizer. After implementing the paraffin layer, which we had mentioned prior, and finally replacing the heating system, we will perform a secondary prototype in which the design will be slightly embiggened, and we'll perform similar testing as before with our organic samples. Once this stage is complete, we'll proceed to a very interesting way of figuring out whether or not HoBi works practically rather than conceptually, where we will ship different copies, if you want to call a type of HoBis, to different individuals of different backgrounds. For instance, you could ship it to you as a student, you could ship it to agriculture specialists, you could ship it to engineers of different backgrounds, to your local farmer, in order to get their own feedback on what works with HoBi and what doesn't, to fine-tune our final commercial product.
So, any future plans?
Yes, we do have some future plans. Outside of trying to make sure to encourage people to implement HoBi into their households in a matter that becomes part of their daily lifestyles, we would like to modify HoBi in a way that you can export its model, or at the very least its identity, into remote villages in Lebanon or into some refugee camps. In other words, in locations where access to biogas or cooking gas is very restricted. By doing that, we could help some unfortunate communities have access to better cooking gas and thus to better sustain themselves in the long run. At the end of the day, HoBi, and by extension SEnLi, is all about its humanitarian dimension. We do not simply want to reduce waste. We could easily burn our waste at the end of the day. However, we choose to develop a positive outcome out of it, and in this case, some cooking gas which can be beneficial to everyone. And this entire procedure is embedded into integrating our society and all of its factions into the planet's regenerative cycle by taking what we do not desire and transforming it into something purposeful. This is all in the name of allowing our society to live in a status of proliferation, delight, and abundance.